Well, our parliamentary correspondent Duke Opoku-Mensah will be bringing us updates in our subsequent bulletins. Now, the Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, says government is rolling out a program to license additional satellite internet service providers to address the internet service disruptions. The sector minister informed Parliament that Starlink, a global satellite internet service provider, is undergoing licensing to operate in Ghana.
After hours of an in-camera session by members of Parliament to firm up the disbursement formula for statutory funds such as the District Assembly's Common Fund and GET Fund for the year, the House convened at plenary for a statement on the internet disruption and outage in the country from the Communications Minister.
And that is why the NCA indicated that it would take a minimum period of about 5 weeks for full services to be restored. Immediate initiatives that the government will undertake is that we will license satellite gateway earth stations, London rights, and satellite earth station networks. OneWeb has already been licensed. Starlink is in the process of being licensed. And other operators are being encouraged to land in Ghana. We must also invest in operationalizing RASCOM, the Regional African Satellite Company, instead of each country going it alone. All network operators must arrange and implement alternative routes to restore full services, as they are currently doing.
Members of Parliament took turns to comment on the statement made by the Honourable Minister on the floor of the House today.
The private sector is losing money. We as individuals, how to even reach our constituents became a problem. So we want your regulator to be more proactive. The regulator has slept on his job, and today we are found in this position. And then we want to raise our hands up in the air and say, oh, other countries that were affected have recovered and are recovering faster than Ghana.
The impact is so huge economically. The Minister didn't quantify that, the economic impact of it. Talk about health, talk about education, where research will be affected, talk about trade. In fact, mobile money alone, where people cannot transact mobile money services, it means business will not go.
MP for Tamale North called for a similar briefing session with the Energy Minister on the intermittent power challenges Odumso in the country. On Tuesday, the Electoral Commission chairperson and her lieutenants are expected in Parliament to brief the House on their preparedness for the 2024 general elections. Duke Opoku, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, let's still stay on the internet service disruptions because the Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, has underscored the need to invest and diversify Ghana's internet infrastructure to mitigate any disruptions in service delivery in the country. This follows major internet disruptions across the sub-region due to subsea cable cuts, which have heavily interrupted the operations of businesses in the country reliant on internet connectivity. Take a listen.
What this has taught us is that digital infrastructure, connectivity, applications and services are indispensable to our current way of life and our future way of life. And so if we didn't give it 100% focus as at now, we should. And we need to look at resilient infrastructure. We need to look at climate-friendly infrastructure. We need to look at more scalable systems being put in place. And we need to look at working even closer together with the private sector. These are all takeaways that we have from this. We're doing it, but we need to scale up our efforts.
And now let's shift to the camp of the NDC because its flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, has urged those who have just attained the voting age to register when the Electoral Commission opens registration in May. Speaking at Jasika in the Buem constituency of the Oti region, as part of his Building Ghana tour, the former president urged the electorate to vote back the NDC into power. This is a report by Komla Kuliche.
The government has in the past said it's made some tremendous investments into the creation of the new regions, admitting the challenges are enormous with resources. Some 6 years after the creation of the new regions, there's growing anger amongst the chiefs and people of the Buem area over neglect.
Regional minister, yes, he has no. yen hanum de bibia boy che say yen ni won wa obetimi agina yanam wo soro na enye politics inso na meye no kred da ho a na waka enti na kire se region ya kafi ye higher na start here now so enne yen fa yen hwi
On his penultimate building, the Ghana we want together tour, the flag bearer of the NDC intimates there is more to governance than the charade by the MPP administration, he describes.
Regions fofora echese yate omo a afi omuni university wo hobia yebesi university e wo sa regions no mo na sanyame adom na university na eba wo hwa jase kan ha na wo hwe se na ha city a ese fata se university beba ha.
He makes a clarion call on the newly turned 18-year-old and first-time voters to stand up and be counted. John Mahama's entourage shortly thereafter moved to Biakuyem, where he assured the chiefs and people of evenly distributing a national cake to meet their needs.
Yen share your support musuo. If we say I was say yetra 7th December and sana nyoma nyina yaken etimi abe kan yansan. Enti obia enhwehwe ni voters card ento ho. Na mo fancy ye na emabuna mwedi 18 atra afi May bosumimu ombetro din a registration exercise. Enti wa unyantro din mesrel wo Ghana card o de beko near tro din.
He thereafter met the Oti Regional House of Chiefs in Dambai. Komla Kluchem, TV3 News, Dambai, Oti Region. And let's still stay with the NDC because former President John Dramani Mahama is this morning taking on the management of the National Service Scheme over its failure to pay service allowances to personnel for the past 5 months. And speaking to a teeming crowd of students at the Karachi Senior High School in the Karachi West constituency, John Dramani Mahama also questioned the cost of the nursing training user fees. Komla Kluche again with this report.
Yebema school fees no yebema na wo fom se na be ya enkoda no dodo na betimi etua etimi akọ school ni bi enti se na menu aka no 2016 na nursing training school fees enru 800 cedis enti obo school fees amutua na enne no eyemi wanwa yie 4,000 cedis. Where the adding? If we say our phone saying in the benya 4,000, it's yama or mama. Nani yamin wanga po a chain bibia any national service. Yawa by moment say national service allowance. Bosum bedru ni chiada. And so next day I say by bosum enum ni national service for you into Omoka. And yes, Sikano so dorso. By 600 700 cedis a month. Now by how many months? 5 months into Omoka. Abai be Abai ebe ni Bibia enko ye Yesika sema say Eka ababariye yentimi ntua.
Well, away from that, President Akufo-Addo has urged African leaders to avoid legal loopholes and state apparatus to undermine democracy and constitutional provisions in the sub-region. Addressing leaders of the African Union, he urged members to collaborate with ECOWAS to develop strategies to enhance African unity.
Since 2020, 9 coups have occurred in West Africa, Central Africa and the Sahel region, with Mali initiating the trend through a mutiny and subsequent coup led by Colonel Assimi Goïta, followed by Burkina Faso, Gabon, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau and Sao Tome and Principe. Citizens' dissatisfaction with their leaders has led to a surge in unconstitutional government changes, a sentiment echoed by President Akufo-Addo.
When elections are not really free and fair, and legal tactics are employed to undermine the spirit of democracy, when legal loopholes are exploited to subvert constitutional provisions that guarantee inclusion and participation, and when state apparatus is used to muzzle freedom of expression, citizens begin to feel the democratic processes have taken them hostage and often celebrate anything that looks like an end to their present predicament.
The chairperson for Peace and the Security Council at the second session of the AU Reflection Forum on Unconstitutional Government Changes, Emilia Mukusa, urged the union to intensify its efforts to tackle African instability.
Under no circumstances should the continent embrace situations of unconstitutional changes of government. We are still facing serious challenges of unconstitutional change of government. This requires from us all to redouble our efforts in addressing this challenge.
Project Director of West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network, Professor Kwesi Prempeh, urged African leaders to govern according to the people's expectations.
Citizens are increasingly intolerant, especially in the context where they are not seeing democratic dividends. If on top of that, you are going to use power repressively, then know that 53% of your citizens say they will actually tolerate a coup d'etat in those circumstances where power is abused.
The Second African Reflection Forum is expected to provide practical solutions to Africa's political issues.
Well, if you just tuned in, you are watching the first news bulletin of the day on TV3 right here on New Day. In more news this morning, the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, has raised concerns about the potential impact of artificial intelligence on the global labor force. According to her, AI could jeopardize up to 60% of jobs worldwide if measures are not implemented to mitigate its effects.
The IMF has analyzed the impact of AI on the global workforce and foresees significant changes, including increased automation leading to job displacement. Although the impact will be more pronounced in developed countries, developing nations such as Ghana will not be immune.
When we looked at the labor market's impact over the next years, in advanced economies, some 60% of jobs would be impacted. In emerging markets, 40%, in low-income countries, 26%. We have to think how we can make the best out of it, prevent artificial intelligence instead of source of good to turn into a source of inequality.
Meanwhile, the government is planning to introduce a policy to regulate the use of artificial intelligence in the country.
It will approve within the shortest possible time. And it's been worked on, it was developed through multiple stakeholder consultations. The minister and her team didn't sit in a room and develop it. It was supported by the GIZ. The Data Protection Commission led its development. Multiple regulators, academics, civil society, network operators, the regulators, all of them worked on developing this policy, mindful of the huge impact that AI can have, both positively and negatively, how to maximize its benefits and minimize its negatives as well.
US and Europe, a lot of.
Now let's talk about the All-African Games, shall we? Ghana will have 3 athletes in the 100-meter finals on Tuesday. Benjamin Azamati and Barnabas Aguer will compete in the men's 100-meter final, while Mary Boakye will represent the country in the women's 100-meter final. Here's a report on day 1 of the track and field event at the University of Ghana Stadium.
Ghana's fastest athlete, Benjamin Azamati, booked a place in the 100-meter final after finishing second in the semi-final with a time of 10.41 seconds. It was also a positive run for Barnabas Aguirre, who made it to the final after finishing second with a time of 10.42 seconds. For the women, Mary Boakye qualified to the final after finishing third with a time of 11.64 seconds in the 100-meter event. Azamati feels ready to battle for his first individual medal at the African Games.
I feel all right. Not the perfect race for me. I feel like I didn't execute well, but I'll go sit with my coach and then talk about it. I had a little bit of a tight hip flexor. I think I'll go back and see the physio work on that and then see how we can do tomorrow. Tomorrow as well, we have the 4x100 heat, so I have to check how my body feels, and then we come again tomorrow to run the finals.
Grace Eduntua, Sandra Apia, Bridget Annan, Solomon Dafo, and Martin Owusu-Entry failed to make the top 3 in their respective 400-meter heats. Safo Ansah, a highly rated locally based sprinter, failed to make the final of the 100-meter after finishing 5th in his race. He was disappointed with the result. Azamati, Aguirre, and Boakye will compete in the 100-meter finals on Tuesday. They will be expected to bring home medals for Ghana.
And now one more Ghanaian boxer made the medal zone on Monday evening, increasing the tally of Ghanaian boxers to 5. They have moved a step closer to breaking a 33-year curse of not winning a boxing medal at the African Games. My colleague Billy Shen has more in this report.
4 members of Ghana's amateur boxing team, the Black Bombers, competed in this arena hoping to enter the medal zone in the 2023 African Games. But only one prevailed, and that person was Joseph Kobe, who toyed with his opponent at the final stages of his bout. But the head coach of the Black Bombers, that is Ofori Asare, was not pleased with some of the officiating that happened during one of his bouts.
Some of the fights too, the way the officiating wasn't okay for us, especially what happened on Wahid Omar. He's leading, and then all of a sudden, the referee counts him out. The proper understanding of how and why he counting out is not explainable.
It's been 33 years since Ghana last won a gold medal in the African Games, and of course, Coach Ofori Asare is very confident that the remaining 5 boxers who've entered the medal zone could bring a gold medal for Ghana.
Yeah, that has been our determination, that it has been a long time that Ghana get gold at the African Games. So we are determined. It's good that we have majority of our boxers into the medal zone now. So the next step is we climb maybe to the silver. And then with those number that we get to the silver level, then we look for gold.
In the other disciplines, the Black Princesses booked a place in the final on the Under-20 Women's Tournament by defeating Senegal by 3-1. The owners will now be on the Black Satellites as they also take on Senegal in the semi-finals of their tournament, which is the Under-20 Men's Tournament. And of course, in athletics, Benjamin Azamati, Barnabas Aguirre, and also Mary Boakye all secured places in the 100-meter finals and will be competing on Tuesday in hopes of a medal. Of course, a lot of eyes will be on these athletes as they battle for gold and other medals to add to the medal table for Ghana. Billy Shen for 3 Sports from the Bukum Boxing Arena.
Well, on that sport note, we end the morning news. For more news updates, you'd want to log on to our website. It's 3news.com. My name is Josh Quinnin. It's always a pleasure coming your way. And the morning show continues with Roland, Bella, Cookie, and after this break. Thanks for watching. Good morning.